Welcome to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. So, quick announcement before we get started. As I mentioned on the previous episode, for the month of March and in honor of Women's History Month, we are highlighting women at the forefront of Black entrepreneurship all month. So I'm so excited to announce that we've actually partnered with Verizon Wireless for our first Ladies Who Lead panel. I'm excited that I'll be moderating this panel of 5 other dynamic female entrepreneurs to include Angelina Darasol of C-Suite Coach, Michelle Dalazon, the founder of The Black-Owned Market, past podcast guest Mandy Bowman of Official Black Wall Street, and Sherelle Dorsey of The Plug Daily and Black Tech Charlotte. And lastly, today's guest, Ms. Chanel Johnson, who's the founder of BASEBUTTER. So this is definitely the room to be in. If you're in New York City on March 26th, you can purchase tickets at blacktobusiness.eventbrite.com. I hope to see you there. Okay, so as I mentioned, today's Chief Chat is with one of the panelists of the Ladies Who Lead, Ms. Chanel Johnson. Chanel is the founder of BASEBUTTER, which is a natural beauty brand providing women of color with access to quality products developed by and for them, building a community of like-minded women of color to collaborate, access, and share knowledge. Since its inception, BASEBUTTER has been in Essence, Cosmopolitan, and Crown Magazine, to name a few. Chanel is a graduate of my alma mater, Howard University School of Business, with a degree in Management Information System. She began her full-time career with IBM as a user experience design consultant and recently joined Rec Philly, a company Forbes calls a WeWork for artists, as an opportunity to create and market strategist, as an opportunity as a creator and marketing strategist. One of the things I loved about this particular interview is the transparency. I don't know about you, but all of us, I can easily assume, tired of hearing interviews where people just talk about how perfect the process of entrepreneurship is. It's not relatable to the person that aspires to reach a level of success in their business. It just isn't. We really want to hear the wins, of course, but it's just more authentic when you hear a few low moments. So this interview with Chanel was just that. Chanel and I discussed how she was able to build a fastly growing beauty brand while working full time. And interestingly enough, she goes back to how her network has been instrumental in funding and the success of BASEBUTTER. Chanel also shares what it's like to manage a team who has more expertise than you. So let's get into it. So Chanel, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I'm so excited that we can finally do this.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait to speak and talk with your audience.
Of course. So before we get into what we're going to discuss today, if you could just tell the listeners who don't yet know about you a little bit about your story, how you got where you are today, and what it is that you do in your business.
Okay. So let's see how I can really shorten that. But hi, everyone. I'm Chanel, and I'm the founder and owner of BASEBUTTER. So BASEBUTTER is all natural skincare essentials that work. I came up with the idea for BASEBUTTER back in 2014. It wasn't called BASEBUTTER then, but that's what it's evolved into today. And so my BASEBUTTER journey really started out of like interest and need. First, my interest was like in fashion, beauty, editorial, and design. In my day job then, I was a UX designer, so I'm just really into all things aesthetics. I'm into mood boarding and just creating visually pleasing experiences. And so BASEBUTTER became my outlet to create my own experiences that I enjoyed and that women like me around me enjoyed. Now, the need part came out of my, I would say, lifetime battle with skincare issues, more specifically acne and hyperpigmentation. Ever since puberty hit, I just had like bad acne and I felt like I could never get control of it. And so when I graduated college and like started my adult life, it was one thing like I really wanted to get control of. Like I didn't want to be out here, an adult walking around with acne. And so I really just started my long journey of figuring out, what is acne, what's causing my acne, and like, how can I create a solution to this? And so from that journey, and it's still evolving, but from that journey, I just really learned kind of how my acne is related to a holistic process. So not is it just, my skin and topicals I use, but it's my diet, it's my exercise, it's my stress levels, it's my environment and all those things. And so that really led me to live a more conscious lifestyle, and which is really what I really learned and what I really had an interest in is the ingredients I'm putting in and on my skin. And so that's where I really started experimenting and researching, just increasing my knowledge of skincare and natural ingredients. And so basically the idea had in 2014 evolved. At first, it was originally a cosmetic company, but it evolved into a skincare company. And originally, I just started testing the product with my friends. That's all 2015. Then 2016, I realized, this could be an actual business. And that's when I put up my website and started selling and started collaborating with photographers, started pitching the product to press. And just from there, BASEBUTTER's community and brand presence has organically grown. But kind of where I am now, beginning of 2018, I'm like, okay, BASEBUTTER, this is a serious business. So I'm ready to take strategic steps. And so I'm being more intentional about how I'm building my audience and how we're developing products. And that's where we are with our journey now.
Definitely. And I've watched you all from the beginning, and you mentioned like the holistic approach and the uniqueness of your branding. I think that speaks within itself. Now, just to back up a little bit and talk about because there are so many amazing things that you all have done, like the branding from the press that you've gotten and the growth. If you could talk about the process of actually starting BASEBUTTER, like how was it, like your hand making these things? How was that process for, making the product?
Yeah, so I started out making the product at home in my kitchen and hand making it. And so honestly, it took me about a year to get to get our first formula that was sold. And so, with my original business idea that started in 2014, I was actually I thought I wanted to make all natural lipsticks. And so without lots of research, I just spent a check, maybe like $1,000 on all these ingredients I thought I needed. And so basically I was playing with that. But at the end of 2014, I didn't want to make lipsticks anymore, but I was left with all this product and all these ingredients that I had wasted money on. And so I was just left with the opportunity just to play with them. And so I was creating formulas and putting it in my hair. I was creating formulas and putting it on my lips. I was creating formulas and putting it on my face. And actually, when I realized this could be something is when I started giving it to my friends around me, and they really liked it. And then my first vending opportunity came from I was a part of the Urban League back in New York. And so they had an entrepreneurial fair, and I didn't even have a website or anything up, but I guess I had told them I was starting this idea, or I had posted on Instagram. And so they asked me to vend. And so I asked like people around me to like invest, because I needed like, I guess like $100 or $150 to get everything I need to vend, because I never did that before. And I asked my friend to help. And basically that's kind of really when it started, when I really started making it for other people and selling it. That was like our first branding, our first pop-up shop, the first time I had experience with anything with BASEBUTTER.
Definitely. And you mentioned the fact that at first you wanted to try lipsticks, and then you had all this money you spent and you changed your idea. I think a lot of people can relate to, maybe sometimes they are like, I've spent all this money, I might as well stick with it. Like, how was that thought process for you, and the importance of making sure you did that pivot?
Yeah, so it's something that didn't happen overnight. Like, this is a thought process that happened over a few months. Like in the beginning, like me, I'm the type of person, I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in. So like when I was making lipsticks, I'm like, okay, this is my business. Like before I had anything, I was like, I'm going to file an LLC. I'm going to pay a graphic designer to make this design, and I'm going to get all these products. And so I kind of like threw myself into it, which may have not been the smartest idea financially, but it was the best thing I could do for me, because I probably would have never started if I kept trying to like make the perfect first move. But over like months, honestly, I would like step away from the idea, then I would come back to it. You know, I would like leave it alone. I would feel discouraged, and then somebody would talk to me about it. And so at the beginning of 2015, I think I skipped at the beginning of 2015, this is like before I put up my website at the end of 2015. I had the lipstick business name, which was Lipsology Lipsticks. I had it in the LLC. I had the graphic, but I hated it. And so for about 6 months, I was trying to figure out what is a new name for what I'm trying to do. And so like one day, like 6 months later, the name BASEBUTTER came to me. But it was really, like 2015 was actually like a hard year. So I was I graduated college the year before. So I was really just trying to figure out, you know, what am I supposed to do in life? What is my purpose like? What is my direction like? And so kind of me going through a self-discovery of myself was also like a self-discovery for my business. And so I think that's something like people need to understand. It's like, it doesn't just come overnight. I didn't just get the idea overnight. Like, it was months and months of self-doubt and going in and out of ideas and like, you know, big gaps and not thinking I could do anything with it.
And one of the things I've noticed too about BASEBUTTER and you, in your, you know, I would have never thought that it was something that you sat on, because since I've been following, it's been consistency. So if you could talk about, you know, how your network has helped your business grow, and was it a time, because I know even personally, or people I hear all the time, they have that issue with asking for help. So what was that like for you when it was building your business?
Yeah, so that has been the hard part. And so let's say, so in the beginning, it was just me. And so what I've realized, how I've gotten help, is that actually people have gravitated to the business. And so it's hard for me to always ask for help, because I feel like I can get it done, I can do it. But I've realized that the kind of brand and community and type of energy that BASEBUTTER is giving off, that sometimes I may not even realize, is like attracting people to the business who want to help and want to give their time. And I've been the one to like never turn away help. I might like say no at this moment, but I'm always trying to figure out how can I use this person or give this person an opportunity to help my business grow. I can give a number of examples of that. The first example that really, really helped take BASEBUTTER to the next level is our photographer. And so if you've noticed, and people I always come in contact with, they're like, your branding, your photography is amazing. And so actually, yes. I wasn't even like looking for a photographer. I was. One time I got a photographer, I paid him, and it sucked. Everything he did sucked. It was horrible. And so I was like traumatized to ever like, you know, work with anyone again. And so my, I'm in a business fraternity. And so my special, like my little sister, she was like, hey, my boyfriend's a photographer in Atlanta and he wants to photograph your stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. But I never followed up, because I was like, I had a really bad experience with someone saying they want to do photography. And so then, I finally like saw his work, and I was like, oh, so I followed up. I was like, hey, like, does he still want to do it? And he was going to do it for free, because he was also like in the beginning stages of photography. And so honestly, like the first shoot he did was amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's like the one on the pink backdrop with like people in the flower crown and the popsicles.
Yes.
And I just knew from there, like, okay, like this is taking us to the next level. And he's been our only photographer ever since. Like anything you see from then till now, that's what it does. And that was kind of just like the universe working in my favor. I didn't even know who he was, but he saw the product. He was like, this is something I want to do. And so that's happened. And another example is now I have a team of 3 people. And for a whole year, I was like, I need help. But I didn't know how to go about getting help, especially because I didn't have money to pay people. But one of my friends, he's now does digital strategy for us. He kept saying, like, I see what you're doing, BASEBUTTER. Whenever you need me, just let me know. Whenever you need me, just let me know. And so finally, when it was the time, I was like, hey, I know exactly what I need you to help me with. Can you help me? And that was kind of the same thing that happened with the two other people. So, yeah, so I don't know what kind of message that is, but, you know, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do and putting in the passion, you just have to trust timing in the universe.
Definitely. And quality work. People are attracted to quality work, I think, also. So you kind of touched on, building your team. And I know at one point you were balancing BASEBUTTER with full time. Like, how was that process for you and making sure that you manage your time properly so that you can still execute and produce quality product?
Yeah, so that's interesting because luckily, my full-time job, I worked in consulting. And so if anyone's worked in consulting or knows anyone who works in consulting, it's kind of a flex schedule. If you're not on travel or working face-to-face with the client, you can work from home. And even when you're like have a client in the city, you just go and meet with the client and leave. And so luckily, like I had a really flex job. And also if you're a consultant, like your manager doesn't sit by you, your manager's probably in a whole nother state, your team's all over the world. So basically like no one is like, checking in on you, trying to see what you're doing. And so honestly, I had a really flexible type opportunity. And so I really took advantage of that. When I will always try to get my like day work done early in the morning so I could have the rest of the day to work on BASEBUTTER. And definitely the money I was making, I was putting it all into BASEBUTTER. But honestly, over the years and over the months, it started off like 80% my full day job and then like 20% BASEBUTTER. But by the end of 2016, it was like the opposite. And so I think my company felt, they didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I think my company felt my energy and commitment has shifted, but I also did. And so it was about that time where I kind of had to make a decision. I had just got promoted and I had to make a decision like, do I want to give more time to this company or do I want to give more time to my business and passion that I have interest in? And so it's going to come that time in your business where you have to make that decision. And so I made a decision at the beginning of 2017, and my company gave me a nice way to give me a decision. They were like, do you want to commit to this new job? They didn't know what I was doing, but they wanted me to transition into a new role that I knew I did not want to do, and I knew it would take so much time. And so luckily, at the time, I could take advantage of that, leaving the job on a nice plate and leaving and transferring full time to BASEBUTTER.
Awesome. So if you could just go into, that transition, how was that initial period for you in that full-time transition? Did you feel like you had more time or you could focus on the details a little bit more?
Yes, I had a lot of time, but honestly, like it was not fun. I'm not even going to lie. Working full-time with BASEBUTTER for 2017, it was a great experience, and the output was like exactly what I wanted to do, but no one could have prepared me for what was about to come, no matter how much I prepared myself. My like part-time BASEBUTTER gig it didn't turn into like a 9 to 5, but it turned into a 24-hour every day, all the time. I was working 24 hours on BASEBUTTER. It was always on my mind, like personal time went out the window. In 2016, I traveled so much. In 2017, I did not travel at all. So like my whole life was centered around BASEBUTTER when I decided to make it full time. And so that transition was definitely hard. I mean, and another honest, hard transition was like that financial security that I used to have. I used to make a nice paycheck consulting and corporate, and all that went out the windows. Like all my funds were going to BASEBUTTER, and the rest I was just trying to eat and live, especially in New York. That was hard. And so that transition was hard, but it was definitely a great learning experience because I really got to learn my business, and I really got to learn myself as a business owner, and I got to really learn what's going to make this business work and what's not. And what's going to make the business work is me. And so I have to really take care of myself first because I really drained myself in 2017. But I think that's an experience everyone should have with their business, because that's going to let you know if this is really what you want to do or not.
That's a very transparent answer. And I think a lot of people, don't talk about that enough. If you could just share some of the things that you learned about yourself, and even, as you move ahead, like some things that you're going to do differently from that experience. Yeah, so I know a lot of people, that's not what people talk about a lot, is that experience from, transitioning full time into entrepreneurship. So what are some things that you felt that you learned about yourself, and as you move forward, that you're doing differently?
Yeah, so it's a few things I learned. I would say the first thing is the business does not work unless I work. And so I literally drained myself in 2017. And not to sound so extreme, but like I ended up in the hospital drained.
Oh, no.
Because I was not sleeping right. I was not exercising. I was not eating right. Because the moment I woke up, I was working to the moment I went to sleep. Like, it could be days where like I didn't leave the office, aka my apartment, because I was like really pushing, trying to get all these things done. And so like one thing I've never had in my life is like heartburn or like whatever like that. And that's like what I ended up in the hospital for, because like I had this burning sensation throughout my chest and stomach. I'm like, oh my God, my life is over. Like I'm dying. Like what's going on? And like the doctor's like, it's just like heartburn. You have like heartburn. I'm like, never had that in my life. And he's like, what are you doing differently? He's like, you need to chill out. And so that was like really like a wake up call. Like the business does not work if I don't work. And so I really need to prioritize. And so, kind of like some things I put in place to help me be better in 2018. And I'm still learning, like, cause like we had a relaunch event in September and I burned out and like I couldn't even work on BASEBUTTER because that's how tired I was. And so one thing I learned is I listened to this podcast by Myleek, and how she's a founder of Curlbox.
Love her.
So she's like an entrepreneur. So she owns her own business. She has a family, and she does other like amazing things. And she was like, I like only work specific days. So she was like, I only work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or like 8 to 4, whatever hours. She's like, that's the only time I work. She was like, I only like meetings on those days between that time. I only do interviews. Like, that's the only time I work. She was like, I don't work any earlier or any later, because I'm either with my family or doing things I love. And basically, that's how she's able to put her full self into her business and still like maintain a healthy and a quality lifestyle. Another thing that I've realized with myself is I'm very, very ambitious. And so I know a lot of things, and sometimes that can kind of hurt me because I'm always like researching. I'm always, looking at the data. I'm always like looking at what are big businesses doing. I don't like to, this might be a bad thing, but I don't like to look at myself as a small business because I want to do what the bigger businesses are doing. I don't want to say I can't do that because of this. And so right. I'm like comparing myself to like a Carol's Daughter or Shea Moisture. So I'm trying to do everything they're doing at once. But the difference between us is that they have all the resources and employees and, access to capital to implement these things, when on my side, it's just me. And so I have to really just like get back to reality and realize, okay, Chanel, you have to prioritize. Do one thing that you can do really well now and continue to, grow slowly, but like grow quality business versus trying to do it at once. And so that's one thing I'm really learning for me and my team in 2018 is to take things slow, because what I learned last year is I had an ambitious list of goals and we got some of them done, but we didn't get some of them done. And I worked my team to the bone because of trying to get all these things done. And so just like a reality check, it's okay. As long as you're moving forward and making progress, that's a good thing.
Definitely. And you talk about your team. So what is it like for you, managing your team and delegating and all of these things that you've learned? How do you go about differently delegating certain things?
Yeah, so I've had experience managing different types of teams for myself. So I had my first group of interns back in 2016. While I was working full time, I had 5 interns. And so I managed that. And so that was pretty comfortable for me to manage because I've been a leader, been in management positions before. So I was really able to like outline and like delegate tasks and check it up on them. But I actually now have like my current team is actually like a team of advisors, a team of consultants, people that, not below me, they're more so on my level. And so this is actually like a really challenging in a good way experience for me because I'm managing people who are technically smarter than me in areas that I hired them for. And so as a leader leading other leaders, I'm really trying to learn how to keep people motivated and inspired and believe in the vision of BASEBUTTER at the least, because that's what is going to keep them committed to working forward and pushing BASEBUTTER forward, because they too are doing this out of passion and love for the business. They're people I've met. They are people that I met through networking, met through friendships and relationships who wanted to help BASEBUTTER, not only for me, but also for their personal growth and their portfolio. And so it's been it's been very challenging, and I'm really trying to figure out the best way to manage and keep people inspired, because they could be getting paid 6 figures for what they're doing for me, but they're volunteering their time to help grow the business. And so it's like, how do I ensure that they're getting the value out of it as if they would when they're consulting a company that would pay them 6 figures an hour?
Very transparent answer. I agree. And speaking of, we talked about the branding and it's just amazing. So if you could just talk about, what is the vision within the brand for BASEBUTTER and how did you see that into fruition?
So the branding for BASEBUTTER, it stems from like passion. I've always been into fashion and beauty editorial. If you ever just look at my site, I just love getting dressed. I love like looking at fashion and things like that. And so definitely love all that. But one thing, when I like, now that I reflect on it and kind of like see my journey and experience, is that I realized that there was kind of like a cool brand for women of color like me missing out there. Like, we have the great natural products. We have all the hair care products in the world, but it's like we don't have that. I did not feel that we had that one cool beauty brand that we could relate to, that looked cool and that like showcased the diversity of women of color, because I felt like there's this natural movement. But I'm like, my afro, I don't wear afro. Like, I definitely have natural hair under this weave. And I love my afro, but it doesn't look like that. Like, I don't have like fresh curls. I don't wear my afro. I don't sit down and do yoga every day, but I still want quality natural products that would speak to me. And so that's really where the branding and inspiration for BASEBUTTER came from, because I wanted to create a product that simply looked cool and felt cool, and that people would feel cool using, that represented all aspects of women of color. And so that's really where it came from. And so that's why I'm so particular with the aesthetics, with the packaging, with the models, with the colors, because I really want that to be communicated. I want it to be quality. I want not only the product to be quality, but I want the brand experience to be quality, because when people are showing this to other people and when people spend their money with us, I want them to be proud of something. And so I think, like, just in the industry, a brand that does that really well is Glossier. They have a great brand experience, and they do a great job with their aesthetics and just creating a brand that is cool for people to interact and want to spend their money with. But I just felt like there was something like that missing in our community.
And for you, this is the celebration of Women's History Month. So for you, what does it mean to be a woman in business and to create a brand that's specifically, catered to women and women of color?
I believe women, I believe women push generations of people forward. And so I think the more women that are empowered, the more women that build businesses, the more women who have financial stability and have access to capital and more of these positions, it just creates a better world and a better environment for those who will come after. I think that's just I think women are really I think in our generation, I feel blessed to grow up in this era, is that we are not afraid, is that we're breaking rules and that we're truly empowered and we're truly empowering each other. I feel like 20 years from now, I feel like these spaces where women come together, collab, and build businesses will just be like huge. And hopefully it'll be the norm. You know, girls who are being born today, tomorrow, years from now, they're going to just be born into a generation. They're just going to be born into a world where it's normal for them to not have to struggle to get equal pay or to get funding for their business. Like women-owned businesses won't be minority businesses anymore. And so I feel like that's really just like, that's what pushes me. And I feel like that's like the importance of getting more women empowered to think entrepreneurial. Entrepreneurship is not just starting a business from scratch. It's acquiring businesses. It's like buying franchises. It's like the way you teach people. It's like being smart with your money. So I just think it's a full movement. And I think it's just really important that more people should be empowered and understand how they too can be entrepreneur in any way they want to.
Amazing. And I agree. And I'm sure, people have watched you as you've grown with your business and your brand. And as you've, been on this entrepreneurial journey, what are some of the tools and resources that have really benefited you in your business?
Tools and resources that have benefited me, one, the people. And so I've kind of been saying this to people, but it's like through my journey, so just like starting 4 years ago, I've organically just discovered these places, these people, and these resources that will help me. But I really wish, I really wish I knew about it earlier. Like, I wish it was normal for me to know an accountant who told me how to balance my books. I wish I knew someone who could prep me to speak to investors and talk to people. But I've just naturally been connecting with people, honestly. People have been the most valuable resource for me. It hasn't been like one tool online or it hasn't been like one app. It's really just continuously meeting people in business, whether they're men, women, black, white, old, or young, and just learning from their experiences on how they built their businesses and how I can apply their challenges and successes to my business. That's like really all I can say. Like I can like send a list of tools and apps that have helped me, but always, always understanding that you have to adapt and continuously learn and be vulnerable is the best tool you can understand because you can learn everywhere and anywhere. And so just always reading, always networking, always meeting people has taught me the most.
Key. What it is, your network is your net worth. So I think that's a great point. And people, I mean, I think I haven't heard that one in the way that you put it, which is so good because, people and resources, these are the people that teach and create all of these resources that we use within our business too.
Yes.
And I didn't ask, but as much as you would like to share, how are some ways that BASEBUTTER has became profitable, or what's that process been like for you, making sure that you're not using all of your personal money in business, or what was that like for you?
Yeah. So the honest answer is I'm still figuring that out. Right now, I need to figure out how to get some more funding. But one thing we did is in 2017, I launched a crowdfunding campaign. And so we raised $10,000 to fund our relaunch. And really, how I was able to get all that money from my community is really, I tapped into the people in the community that's been supporting us since day one. And I just continually pushed my story and spoke with them. And I made them feel a part of the brand and the relaunch. And so that's really how I've been able, that was kind of like my first shift to like not using my money, but using other people's money to fund BASEBUTTER. But right now, I'm still trying to figure that out because we use that money for the relaunch. And honestly, with businesses, you like make money and you lose money. So that's the honest conversation. You don't get rich in like 3 years. And so right now, I've actually kind of been avoiding this for some years. And I've just been avoiding it because of lack of knowledge, but educate myself on pitching to investors and getting like angel investors and investments from family and friends who actually have access to capital. And so I'm actually in the process of preparing myself to put together a pitch to really organize my books. Luckily, I realized last year I need an accountant. And so I've had an accountant for at least 2 years who keeps my books organized and also has been educating me on all things finance, because finance is probably scary for most people, especially creatives who didn't study that for a reason, but just really understanding your business and getting comfortable to pitching. And so that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And, a lot of people, I know myself, I'm going through that pitch deck series. So I'm definitely in there with you on that one. So I'm excited about the future. And speaking of the future, Chanel, what are some things that we can expect from BASEBUTTER and, from yourself as well?
Oh, yeah. So it's a lot of great things. And so with BASEBUTTER this year, we really are just trying to expand our market and also push our product. And so kind of how that look is we're working on some partnerships with some retailers. We just got accepted to one of retailers on yesterday. I'm not going to say their name because it's not signed, but if you go on my Instagram, you can see it. But we just got accepted to being a major retailer. And so we're continuously just looking for partnership opportunities where we can expand our reach, because up until now, pretty much just been communicating with our online base and friends and references. And now we really want to expand our reach in our product because we truly do feel like we have a great product. And we will continue to enhance that product and also a great brand. But honestly, in the future, you can just see us in more places. You'll probably see us at your local store, in a beauty box, and you'll see more product education. And so kind of the direction we want to go in is we really want to help people reach their skin goals. But kind of through my personal journey is that, the best way to reach your skin goals is having all the information and knowledge you need to know about your skin and ingredients. And so we want to offer that to people in a simple way that they can understand versus watching a million YouTube videos and reading all these articles.
Yes. Cheers to good skin in 2018 and just taking care of ourselves. I think that's been really important to hear the importance of that and just making sure we're continuously putting ourselves first in our businesses as well. So before we wrap up, I want to ask a couple of fire questions. So the first one being, what advice would you give your 23-year-old self?
My 23-year-old self. Okay, so when I was 23, I'm 25 now. So 23 is it was 2015. I just had turned 23 then. I would give the best advice I would say is you don't have to have it all figured out right now, and you won't have it all figured out by 25. I would say, don't give yourself timelines to get things done by a certain age, more so really get to understand yourself and your purpose and your interests and, and see how you can achieve goals with that.
That was good. What's some words of wisdom that you swear by?
Ooh, okay. I haven't referred to my wisdom book in a minute. There's this one. Oh, yeah. So this is what I always tell myself is the best way to predict the future is by creating it. And so sometimes I know I do this a lot. I did it today. We sit and worry so much about what's going to happen tomorrow, a couple of months from now. When am I going to get that job? When is that check going to hit? Am I going to get enough money for my taxes to pay this debt off? But, honestly, just think about what can you do today to solve that problem. You can take one step forward. And so spend less time worrying and more time doing.
Yes, I took that in. And your camera roll is full of...
So right now, honestly, my camera roll is full of pictures of my skin progress. And so this is kind of weird, but at the end of 2017, I had a really bad breakout, on my skin, my acne breakout. My skin had been clear for 2-3 years. And so I had to start this whole new skin routine to get my skin back flawless. And so every week I take a selfie of my skin just to capture the progress. So if you go through my pictures, you'll just see selfies of my bare skin with the bonnet on of my skin progress week from week. I don't know, that's kind of weird.
No, that's good. That's that's what you're creating, something that helps people, battle with that. But also going back to taking care of ourselves. I really like that. So once a week you take a picture.
Yes.
And lastly, what's the last item you splurged on?
Oh, the last item I splurged on were all skincare products for the skincare routine I'm on. So at the beginning of January, I used my Christmas money to buy 10 skincare products for my new skincare routine. And so in addition to using BASEBUTTER products, I do use other products. So there's one brand, The Ordinary. They have some great natural exfoliants for your skin. And so that's what I last splurged on. I'm trying to get my skin together in 2018. And so
I'm with you. I just went to TJ Maxx yesterday and bought the eye bag things because I'm oh my God, it looks I feel like I'm getting bags under my eyes now. I've never thought about that.
I also updated my makeup kit. And so I got some Fenty foundation. I got the Fenty sticks. And so I just had a whole skincare makeup update.
Love it. Speaking of skincare, what's that one product or that one thing that you must have or that thing that's in your bag?
Yes. So it is my moisturizer, which is an aloe vera plus tea tree face gel called Radiate by BASEBUTTER. And so if I don't have anything else, I have to have my moisturizer by BASEBUTTER because it's light, but it's definitely moisturizing and hydrating, whether it's winter or summer. And it has all these good ingredients in it, like aloe vera gel and tea tree and lavender and evening primrose. And so it's definitely helped me.
And while we're on it, you have to tell the people how can they go get these products and how can they support what you're doing with BASEBUTTER, and where can they find you?
So definitely shop at basebutter.com. That's where we are. And if you visit our website, anytime from now until the end of March, definitely click our Skin Struggles tab. We are currently on a mission to get 100 responses to our survey, which is capturing what are your current skin struggles, because we're trying to make better products, better tools, and just better communicate how you can get perfect skin, honestly, because I feel like that's the journey that we're always on. It's always a struggle bus, but we want to know how we can make our products and our brand better for you so you can reach those goals.
Yes. Support by giving your feedback as well. So Chanel, thank you so much for sharing your story, and we appreciate you for coming on the show. We're so excited for, the things to come in the future, and just thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And until next time, guys.